الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلوات الله والسلام عليه. أما بعد، فإن خير الكلام كلام الله سبحانه وتعالى، وخير الهدى هدى نبينا محمد بن عبد الله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة. In regards to the topic that I've been assigned, the reckoning, or what is known in Arabic as An-Naseeha, then this issue is a wide and it is an expansive issue, and it is an obligation, just like the Salat is. It is an obligation upon everyone here to try to learn as much as he possibly can learn about this particular issue. It is connected to one of the 6 pillars of Al-Iman. So we have 5 pillars of Al-Islam: the Shahadatain, the Salat, the Zakat, fasting, and Hajj. And then we have the 6 pillars of faith, Al-Iman. That comes to us in the Hadith, in which Jibril came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he asked him, "Tell me, Ya Muhammad, what is Al-Iman? What is it to be a mu'min? What is Al-Iman?" The Prophet responded, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Al-Imanu an tu'mina billahi wa malaikatihi wa kutubihi wa rasulihi wal yawm al-akhir wa an tu'mina bil qadr khayrihi wa sharrihi." Faith is for you to believe in Allah and His angels, His books, all of the messengers, to believe in the last day, and to believe in the qadr, the divine destination, the predestination. Each one of these pillars of Al-Iman, they are extensive. You can't deal with them in 45 minutes or 1 hour. You can't. It's just too much. When you want to talk about the first pillar of Al-Iman, Al-Iman in Allah, that's wide and it's expansive. Who is Allah? What does He do? What does He not do? What are His names? What are the meanings of those names? What is His characteristics? Where is He? Where is He not? A lot of issues. I'm talking about an Iman in the Malaika. What are they created from? How many are they? What are their names? Who are the ones that we know about? So many issues. What is their job? What is their function? All of the arkan of Al-Iman are like that. So one of the pillars of Al-Iman is to believe in the last day. To believe in the last day. Part of believing in the last day is this issue of the reckoning. The reckoning. A person who doesn't believe in aspects of these issues, and there's something wrong with his Iman in the last day. So it's an important issue, and it is wide, and it is expansive. When we say to believe in the last day, you just can't say, "I believe in the last day," and that's it. You have to come to know about as many of the details as possible. And from the details of Al-Iman bil Yawm al-Akhir is that we have to believe in the Hisab. We have to believe in the reckoning. And there is a day in which Allah Azza wa Jal is going to hold people to account for everything that they did while they were in the hayat of the dunya. That's the Iman in the last day. Part of an Iman in the last day, as I mentioned, is to believe everything about what is connected to it, what the Prophet said is going to happen, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, before it, what he said is going to happen on the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah, what he said is going to happen after. What's taking place in Pakistan is part of our Iman in the last day. What's taking place right now in the world today, in America, the UK, Somalia, Palestine, Iraq, all of that is part of our Iman in the last day, because the Prophet told us about it, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that these issues are from the signs of the hour. So before the last day is even established, there are signs that prelude the last day. You can't say you believe in the last day if you don't believe in those signs that are going to come. Someone may say, but this is basic and fundamental. It is basic and fundamental, but there are some people who claim to be Muslims with a big question mark who don't believe that Isa ibn Maryam is coming back. He doesn't believe in al-Iman bil Yawm al-Akhir correctly. If you deny that, there's something wrong with your Iman in the last day, because that's one of the signs, one of the major signs of Yawm al-Qiyamah. So the Prophet told the people, sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam, ما بقي لأمتي من الدنيا إلا كمقدار إلى صلاة العصر. The amount of time that remains in this dunya. He said this 1,430 years ago. He said this. The amount of time that remains for my dunya, the amount of time before Yawm al-Qiyamah, is like the amount of time that it takes for you to pray Salat al-Asr. Asr is very quickly. So part of our Iman in the last day is that we have to believe that it's quick, it's coming quick. Don't sit there and think, I'm 20, I'm 25, I'm 30, I'm young. Yawm al-Akhir is a long way off. Yawm al-Akhir is quick. It's right on our heels. So if a person sits and he thinks Yawm al-Akhir is a long way because I'm 20, I'm 21, then his Iman bil Yawm al-Akhir is problematic. So one of the greatest signs of Yawm al-Akhir is what he said, and what the scholars of Islam said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. In the authentic hadith that was collected by the Imam al-Bukhari and Muslim, the Prophet told us, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, بُعِثْتُ بَيْنَ يَدَيْ سَاعَ كَهَاتَيْنِ. I have been sent, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, close to the hour, like this. And he put his two fingers up like this to show the close proximity. So he's the first sign of Yawm al-Akhir. When Allah sent him, it was a sign to Bani Adam to know Yawm al-Akhir is very close. Because Allah sent to them or to us a warner who's making things clear so that people can get themselves together in preparation for everything that is connected to al-Yawm al-Akhir. The other issue concerning the Hisab, Ikhwani, is that the people who the Prophet came to, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they didn't believe in the Hisab. The Mushrikun of Quraysh, they ridiculed and they made fun about the notion and the idea that there is a Hisab. And they rejected al-Iman in the last day. They believed in different things. They believed in Allah. His father's name was Abdullah. And other people during his time, before he even came, their name was Abdullah. They used to worship Allah, but they used to worship the idols as well to get them close to Allah. They used to make shirk with Allah. They used to believe in the Malaika, but they believed that the Malaika, they were the daughters of Allah. They used to say that Allah married the jinn and had relationships with the jinn. And from that marriage, there came girls, baby girls, and they were the daughters of Allah, and they're the Malaika. So they believed in aspects of the 6 articles of faith. But one thing they didn't believe in is that they did not believe in al-Yawm al-Akhir. And it took a lot of courage from the Prophet ﷺ to come to the people and to give dawah to something that they were going to look at him as if he was a madman. So the Muslims have to be upon this sunnah. The sunnah of calling to those things that our relatives and the society at large may look at you as being a madman. At the top of the list, calling our relatives and the community at large to the knowledge of the oneness of Allah. Calling them to that which they find it difficult to accept and to believe, that the Prophet was a human being, sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam. So for the Messenger of Allah to come out and to call to al-Imam al-Yawm al-Akhir, it took a lot of courage. Allah Ta'ala gave us a lot of ayat concerning this. From the famous ayat that we all memorize is what he mentioned in Surah Yasin. وَضَرَبَ لَنَا مَثَلًا وَنَسِيَ خَلْقًا قَالَ مَنْ يُحْيِي الْعِظَامَ وَهِيَ رَمِيمٌ قُلْ يُحْيِيهَا الَّذِي أَنْشَأَهَا أَوَّلَ مَرَّةٍ وَهُوَ بِكُلِّ خَلْقٍ عَلِيمٌ. They gave us a similitude, an example. Quraysh, Kufar, they gave us a similitude. They spoke about us by giving a similitude. And they said, who is going to give life to the bones after they have become dust? Tell them, Ya Muhammad, the one who created the bone from the very first time, the one who created them from nothing, he's going to give life back to them again. This ayat was revealed because one of the non-Muslims of Quraysh, one of their leaders, he picked up some bones that were baking in the sand. They were old. He said, Ya Muhammad, You mean to tell me when we become like these bones, Ramim, and he started squeezing it, and it came into dust, and it started falling out of his hand. You mean to tell me we're going to be returned back to life again? Making istihza, doing his eyes like that. And this ayat was revealed. They give us a similitude, and they forgot about themselves. Tell them, the one who gave life to these bones the very first time, he's going to bring them back again. He is the creator, and he knows what he's doing. So if the human being is devoured by a shark, if a human being is dipped into nitroglycerin and he disintegrates and disappears, Allah is bringing him back. And bringing him back is not difficult on Allah, just as it wasn't difficult for him to create him in the first place. He's going to return back to Allah Azza wa Jal to be held accountable for what he did or for what he or she didn't do. The other point, Ikhwani, is from the names of Allah. We believe in Allah. Allah has names, he has attributes. From his names is that he is Al-Hakim, Al-Hakim, the one who is wise. He has hikmah. And then hikmah is putting things in the proper place. Putting things in the proper place. Treating people the way that they're supposed to be treated. Hikmah is treating your parents like the parent. Treating the person in position of authority as a person of authority. Treating the husband a certain way. Treating the child like a child. Treating the non-Muslim like the non-Muslim. Treating the Muslim like the Muslim should be treated. The opposite of hikmah is zulm, oppression. Zulm is putting things in the wrong place. Zulm is treating your parent as if your parent is a child. Zulm, oppression, is treating the person of authority and respect and knowledge, the imam, treating him as if he's ignorant. Zulm is treating the Muslim as if he's a kafir, being rough and tough with him. And zulm is treating the kafir as if he's a Muslim, having love and being soft and forbearing with him, the way you should be with the Muslim, and so forth and so on. Hikmah is putting things in a proper place. Knowing when to be tough, knowing when to be gentle. If you're gentle when you should be tough, or tough when you should be gentle, that's zulm. You put it in the wrong place. The worst kind of zulm is worshiping other than Allah. Saying that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam deserves to be worshipped. You took the haqq of Allah that you were supposed to put with Allah, and you put it in the wrong place. You put it with his creation. Even if his creation is the best of the creation, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is zulm. That's the worst kind of zulm. And the best hikmah, putting things in the right place, is the tawheed of Allah. Worshipping Allah alone, and him alone. Hikmah is following Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam over everybody else, over every imam, over every culture, over every idea. So from the hikmah of Allah, and Allah puts everything in a proper place. Those of us who have money, Allah knew he should give this person money. The one who doesn't have money, Allah knew he shouldn't get him money. The one who they gave you the visa to stay, Allah knew that you should have the visa to stay. The one who they say you can't stay, you have to leave in 10 days, Allah knew. So the human being, the Muslim, knowing the names of Allah, the characteristics of Allah, whatever happens to him in the qadr, you should never say, oh, why me? Ya Allah, why me? Why did my baby die? Why did my father die? Because he knew. Allah decreed that thing because in it is hikmah. He's al-Hakim. From the hikmah of Allah, his wisdom and his justice necessitates that there has to be a reckoning. Yawmul Deen, Yawmul Hisab. If there was no Yawmul Deen and no Hisab, Allah would be oppressive. Hasha lillah. Allah is not oppressive to none of his servants. If there was not Yawmul Qiyamah, it would be a sign, an indication that Allah is oppressive. He's an oppressor. Because here is an individual who he gets up and he prays Fajr all during the year. When Fajr is early and when Fajr is late, as it is right now. He gets up in the summertime, in the wintertime, when it's cold and it's not cold. He may come to the masjid, he may not come to the masjid. Here, on the other hand, is another individual who never prays. Never ever prays. Not in the wintertime, not in the summer, not when it's late, not when it's early. He never prays. Over here is an individual, she wears hijab. Over here, this girl, she doesn't even wear any hijab. Over here is an individual who has birrul walidain, very good and patient and forbearing towards the mother and the father, even if the mother and father are difficult people to deal with. Over here, this individual is a monster, a devil, a shaitan in regards to mother and father, and they have good parents. This one dies and that one dies, and then that's it. That's it. If that was the way it was, or the case is like that, then Allah is oppressive. Where is the reward for those people who made efforts, who prayed in the month of Ramadan, and they made Salatul Taraweeh, and their legs were hurting, and they remained in the Saf? From the beginning of Ramadan, they came to the masjid for Taraweeh, and the masjid was packed. And then by the time the 23rd or the 19th of Ramadan came, it was halfway. Then in the 27th, the rest of them came again, and then they left. There was an individual who stayed in the first row, second row. He was there from the beginning of Ramadan all the way to the end. He dies, and the one who didn't pray any Taraweeh, they all die, and that's it. That would be dhulm. Has to be a day where people are going to get the reward for what they did, and this is one of the reasons why we have the Yawm al-Akhir and the Yawm al-Hisab. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentioned in the Quran, in Surah Al-Qalam, أَفَنَجْعَلَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ كَالْمُجْرِمِينَ مَا لَكُمْ كَيْفَ تَحْكُمُونَ. Should we and will we make the Muslims and treat them and make them like the criminals, meaning the non-Muslims? How is it, you people Quraysh, how is it that you are judging? The Muslim, as he told us sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that the dunya is the prison of the Muslim, and the dunya is the Jannah of the kafir. The non-Muslim does whatever he wants to do in this dunya. The Muslim, he has limitations. He has a business. He's going to deal with his business in accordance to the Kitab and the Sunnah. Some things he's not going to do to make more money, and so forth and so on. So are we going to treat those people who are patient with the sijn, the jail, and the imprisonment of the dunya, and treat them the same like the people who were in this dunya and it was their Jannah, they did everything and anything that they wanted to do? No, it's not like that. The hikmah of Allah necessitates that there's going to be a Yawm al-Akhir. The lady came, our mother Aisha radiallahu anha, and she asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam about an issue concerning one of the popular personalities who they knew. His name was Abdullah ibn Jad'an. Abdullah ibn Jad'an. He was known for his generosity. He used to feed the pilgrims who came to perform Hajj in Mecca before Islam. They said that his pot that he used to feed the people was so big that the servants that he used to feed the Hujjaj, the pilgrims, they had to build a ladder to get on top of the pot to serve the food. They would get on the camel in order to be high enough to serve the food. One of the servants fell into the pot and he burned to death. He was generous. Aisha asked, Ya Rasulullah, what is Allah going to do with Abdullah bin Jad'an? He used to do so much good for the people of the Kaaba, for the pilgrims. Prophet told us, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as it's been collected by the Imam Muslim, إِنَّهُ مِنْ أَصْحَابِ الْجَحِيمِ لأنه لم يقل يوم من دهري رب اغفر لي خطيئتي يوم الدين. He's in a hellfire. He's in a hellfire because he never said during the course of his life, oh my Lord, forgive me for my sins and mistakes. Yawm al-Din. Yawm al-Din. The day that you're going to be reckoned with. So that's a proof, Ikhwani, that the people of Quraysh, they disbelieved in the last day, and that Allah Azza wa Jalla's hikmah necessitates that there has to be a last day where He's going to raise the people and give them their rewards. Now, as I mentioned, this is just a small fraction of Al-Iman bil Yawm al-Akhir. In talking about Al-Hisab and the reckoning, I'm only going to present to you, inshallah, a fraction of that issue, because that issue by itself is too long. It's too much to talk about. It's too much to know. So in regards to Al-Iman in the Hisab, where's the dalil in our religion that there is a Hisab? There are many adillah from the Quran and from the Sunnah. Since we are a people, and this is a masjid of people, inshallah, our religion is based upon proofs, the Quran and the Sunnah, and how the companions understood those two sources. Allah Ta'ala mentioned in the Quran in supporting this concept of al-hisab, the reckoning. فَأَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ بِيَمِينِهِ فَسَوْفَ فَأَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ بِيَمِينِهِ فَسَوْفَ يُحَاسَبُ حِسَابًا يَسِيرًا وَيَنْقَلِبُ إِلَى أَهْلِهِ مَسْرُورًا. Yawm al-Qiyamah, the one who is given his book in his right hand, he's going to have the hisab. He's going to have a reckoning that is easy. And he's going to go to his family and he's going to be happy. So the word was used here, hisab. The one who gets his hisab. his book in his right hand, he's going to have an easy hisab. وَأَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ مِنْ وَرَاءِ ظَهْرِهِ فَسَوْفَ يَدْعُو ثَبُورًا وَيَصْلَى سَعِيرًا. As for the one who gets the book from behind his back, he's going to have a tough reckoning. He's going to call the thabur, and he's going to enter into the hellfire. That's a proof that there's a hisab, that people are going to be asked from the Quran, that you're going to have your books looked into that contain everything that you've done. That book, Ikhwani, is part of what we believe about Yawm al-Akhir, that there is a book being written about each and every individual here. The book that contains things that are not even tangible. There are some Muslims with a big question mark who reject some of these issues because they say we can't see it, we can't smell it, we can't hear it, we can't touch it. How is it possible that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to hold me accountable for what I can't touch and it's not there? No, that book is going to mention the hasad that a person has. A person has envy and jealousy about someone and he doesn't deal with it correctly, he just lets it happen and works on it. That hasad is going to come Yawm al-Qiyamah in that book. They say we don't believe that, because how can you have hasad? How can you touch it? How can you smell it? You can't taste it. It's not tangible. As Allah said about the kuffar of Quraysh, He described them when they disbelieved in al-Yawm al-Akhir. Allah said about Quraysh, the kuffar, وَمَا قَدْرُ اللَّهَ حَقَّ قَدْرِهِ وَالْأَرْضُ جَمِيعًا قَبْضَتُهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ وَالسَّمَاوَاتُ مَطْوِيَّاتٌ بِيَمِينِهِ subhanahu wa ta'ala amma yushrikun. They did not consider Allah the way He should have been considered. The way they should have looked at Him, the one who gave them life, and He sees and He is everything. He knows everything. They don't even know but a fraction of their own lives. He knows everything connected to everything. Every grain on every piece of beach, He knows the number, the origin of it. Everything, every snowflake, everything, every raindrop, every waraqah from the tree, everything. What's in the stomach, He knows every aspect of everything. Everything. For someone to think Allah doesn't know that, he didn't consider Allah the way Allah should have been considered. And Yawm al-Qiyamah, the earth will be in His right hand, in the grasp of His right hand, and the heavens will be rolled up. They will be rolled up. Glory unto Allah for the things that they say about Him. So if a Muslim were to come in to deny any aspect of Yawm al-Akhir, this ayat is applicable to him. As for the Sunnah, the proof that there is Yawm al-Akhir, there are a lot of proofs. From them is the statement that we need to remember, we need to remind our relatives, because the vast majority of Muslims fall short of this issue. And then we find it strange and we wonder, why is all of this fitna going on concerning the Muslims? It's because of the loss of this issue and other issues. He told us, sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam, إِنَّ أَوَّلَ مَا يُحَاسَبُ بِهِ الْعَبْدُ مِنْ أَعْمَالِهِ يَوْمُ الْقِيَامَةِ صَلَاتُهُ فَإِنْ صَلَحَتْ فَقَدْ أَفْلَحَ وَأَنْجَحَ وَإِنْ فَسَدَتْ فَقَدْ خَابَ وَخَسِرَ. The very first thing that Allah is going to give you the hisab about, the very first thing He's going to ask you about, give you the reckoning, the very first thing is He's going to ask you about your salat. If the salat was complete and perfect, then he's going to be successful and he's going to be happy and he's going to enjoy the situation. If his salat was lacking and wanting, he didn't pray. He spent the majority of his life not praying. She didn't pray. And that's the condition of the majority of Muslims. We don't pray. The companions like Umar radiallahu anhu, he used to say, there is no portion in al-Islam for the one who has no salah. If he doesn't pray, where is his Islam? Because his salah is a pillar of the religion, like this building. It has a foundation, it has its pillars. If the foundation is jammed up, then the building is jammed up. His Islam is jammed up. Allah and the Prophet, knowing the Shahadatain, Allah. Some people worship Rasulullah. Some people worship Ali. Some people worship Sheikh Adnan Abdul Qadir al-Jailani. Some people worship whatever they worship from our ummah. How is the house going to be strong? How is the religion? He doesn't pray. So the very first thing that's going to be looked into is that salah. Another hadith said, if the salah is good, then the rest of his deeds will be good. If the salah is bad, then the rest of his deeds will be bad. That's a dalil of Yawm al-Akhir and a dalil that there's a hisab. There are a lot of things we're going to be asked about. لا تزول قدم ابن آدم يوم القيامة من عند ربه حتى يسأل عن أربع. The slave, his feet are not going to move Yawm al-Qiyamah from in front of his Lord until Allah asks him about 4 things. The reckoning. He's going to ask him about 4 things. And umrihi fima afna. He's going to ask him about his life. The favor that Allah gave. How many years He gave. And what did you do with that life? You're going to have a hisab, a reckoning about that. وَأَنْ عِلْمِهِ مَاذَا عَمَلَ بِهِ. He's going to ask all of us about the knowledge that we have and what did we do with it. أَسْأَلَ اللَّهَ الْعَافِيَ وَالسَّلَامَ. He's going to ask us about the knowledge that you have. What did you do with it? وَعَنْ مَالِهِ مِنْ أَيْنَ اكْتَسَبَهُ وَكَيْفَ أَنْفَقَ. He's going to ask him about his money. Where did he get it from and how did he spend it? He got it from sources that were not halal, or he got it from sources that were halal, but he didn't spend it on the correct people. He didn't give it to his mother, he didn't give it to the needy sister, his sister who was a widow, he didn't help the masjid out, didn't help Islam out. The 4th thing he said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, wa an jismihi fima ablahu. He's going to ask him about his body. What did he do with it? He took drugs, he drank khamr, he got his ears pierced, he put tattoos on his body, she cut her eyebrows. I was going to ask you all about that. He overate, didn't take care of his body. All of those issues prove and indicate that there is a hisab from the Quran and the Sunnah. Many ahadith, many ayat from the Quran. So it's established, something that we have to believe in because it's in the Quran, it's in the Sunnah. The Prophet told the people, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, ما منكم من أحد إلا وسيكلمه ربه يوم القيامة ليس بينه وبينه ترجمان فينظر إلى يمينه فلا يجد إلا عمى وينظر إلى شماله ولا يجد إلا عمى فلا يلومن أحدكم إلا نفسه. There is not anyone here, all of you, all of us, except that your Lord is going to talk to you, and there's not going to be any translator between you and Allah. And Allah is going to ask him those questions. The slave is going to look to his right, and he's going to see his actions and his deeds. And he's going to look to his left, he's going to see his actions and his deeds. The Prophet said, don't let any of you, none of you, will have the ability to blame anybody except yourself. You only could blame yourself. If you look to the left and there are more numbers, then there's a problem. Ikhwani, even if to the right, there are a lot of sins that we make in the dunya. One of the best ibadat of Islam is just making tawbah. At-ta'ibu min al-dhanbi kaman la dhanba lahu. The one who makes tawbah from what he did. The biggest sin, no matter how many that they are, if he makes tawbah to Allah with ikhlas, sincerity, and he leaves it alone, Allah forgive it for him. If we didn't sin, Allah would get rid of us. And he would bring another group of people so that they can sin and so that they can ask forgiveness. So the fact that people sin, this is how Allah created us. If we didn't sin, how would we know that Allah is Al-Ghafur, Al-Rahim, Al-Tawab, Al-Latif? How would we know that? He didn't create us like the Malaika. They don't sin. He created us Bani Adam. And all of Bani Adam, they sin without any exception. If he's a human being, he sins without any exception. So when believing in the prophets and the messengers, the 6 articles of Al-Iman, part of what we believe in is that they're human beings. So it's not enough just to say, I believe in Allah, but you make dua to Rasulullah. I believe in Allah, but you believe in the soothsayer. I believe in the Malaika, but you think Shaitan is from the Malaika, like they show us in the cartoons when we were little kids. He's a fallen angel, and now he got red with a pitchfork and a long tail. No, you don't believe in the Malaika. Shaitan is not from the Malaika. We have to come to know about the details. I believe in Rasulullah, but you believe he's not a human being. He doesn't have a shadow, he doesn't sleep, he doesn't sweat, he doesn't snore. Rasulullah is created from the nur of Allah. You're not believing correctly. You're not believing correctly. So the shahid of all of that, ikhwani fillah, barakallahu feekum. Al-Iman in the reckoning or the Hisab is in the Quran and it's in the authentic Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and there are a lot of issues concerning it, but I just want to deal with a fraction of it here. In our Iman in Al-Hisab, the reckoning, Allah is going to hold people to account for what they did and for what they didn't do. There is something that is going to be used Yawm al-Qiyamah to reckon the people with. There are many things. One is you're going to stand before Allah and Allah is going to talk to you. Another one is the book that we told you about. The angel on the right is writing down. Those angels on the left, they're witnessing everything. So there's going to be a book with everything that you did in it. It's going to be open. That's one of the ways you're going to be reckoned with. Another way that the reckoning is going to take place is another aspect of our Iman in the last day, and that is the Mizan. The Mizan. The Mizan is a word that is in many of the languages of the Muslims. It's in the Urdu language, it's in the language of the Persian Muslims, it's in the language of many Africans like Somalis, and other than that. Al-Mizan is the scale. The scale. Similar to the scale when you go to the local store and you want to weigh oranges, grapes, apples, or whatever. Dates, raisins, salt, the scale. Allah Ta'ala, Yawm al-Qiyamah is going to create a scale or a number of scales, and He's going to weigh different things in a way of reckoning the people. Now again, this is a masjid, inshallah, and we have to be a group of people, whatever masjid you go to, who, whatever we claim in our religion, we have to be able to prove it from the Quran and the Sunnah. From the Quran and the Sunnah, the way the Prophet's companions understood it. I was told that the Prophet was created from the Nur of Allah. The Nur of Allah, no doubt. His dawah is Nur. His life was Nur. But in order to believe, to get me to believe, anyone, that he was created from the actual Nur of Allah, you have to be able to prove that in the Quran and the Sunnah. So what do? They come up with fabricated hadith and stories. Our mother, Aisha radiallahu anha, as they say, was helping him to get dressed. And when he put his clothes on, she wanted to tie his belt around his waist. I never read where the Prophet had a belt. The scholars of Islam wrote everything about him. There is a book by Imam al-Tirmidhi called Al-Shama'il al-Muhammadiyya. Everything you need to know about him. How he slept, how he snored, how his sweat came out, how he walked, how tall he was. Al-Shama'il al-Muhammadiyya. How his shoes were, how his cane was, how his mimbar was, what his camel looked like. Everything about the mundane affairs. The companions didn't leave anything in describing him. How his beard was. Everything you need to know about his person. And that's why the scholars of Al-Hadith, Al-Hadith, they considered the way he was created from the Sunnah and his akhlaq from the Sunnah. So since that's the case, they told us everything about him. I never read where he had a belt, but for the sake of argument, he had a belt. He had a belt. He said, the companion said if the last 10 days of Ramadan came, he tied up his belt. But that's an allegorical statement anyway. They said that Aisha radiallahu anha went to tighten the belt. After tying it, and the belt went through his body, went through. When she told the people the story, they said, Ya Aisha, why did the belt go through his body? What does that mean? She said, he was created from the Nur of Allah. When the people mention that story in certain messages, the people say, Allah! Allah! Yeah, if that was true, and I'm not trying to be funny here, if that was true, why is it that Quraysh, when they fought against him at the Battle of Uhud, they hit him in his head, and they split his head open. They hit him in his face, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and knocked his teeth out. And he said, لَن يُفْلِحُ قَوْمٌ فَجُّوا رُبَاعِيَّةِ نَبِيِّهِمْ. No people will be successful who broke the tooth of their Nabi. Why didn't the stick or whatever he was hit with, why didn't it just go through his head? When he used to sleep, he used to snore, and the sweat would come off of his head. Hani would take the sweat and put it in a little glass and save it on Friday, put it on the kids, and it smelled like perfume. Because he was a special human being. His sweat smelled like perfume, but nonetheless, she was able to take the sweat off. Why didn't her finger go through his head? Why did he have babies? How did he have children? We have to use our heads. Anyway, the point here, ikhwani fillahi, al-mizan. You can't just say something and you can't support it from the Quran and the Sunnah. Al-mizan. Allah Ta'ala mentions in the Quran, and there are many ayat in this regard. وَنَدُ الْمَوَازِينَ الْقِسْطَ لِيَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ. We're going to put, Allah said He's going to put the scales down in justice, Yawm al-Qiyamah. The scale, the mizan of Yawm al-Qiyamah is not like the scale here. The scale here is, if you come from Muslim countries and you live in Muslim countries, certain Muslim countries, if you murder someone and you have money, you pay the money and you get it off, you get out of it. You can kill someone in Muslim countries, in the countries we come from. And you can get off because you have money, because you're the son of a prominent individual, because your family is prominent. That's not the case Yawm al-Qiyamah. The scale will be put down in justice. So this ayah said the scales will be put down. And there are many ayahs. From the hadith, Sahih Bukhari, the Prophet told us about the beginning. Part of al-Iman in Allah is this hadith. Kana Allah wa kana ala arshihi wa lam yakun ma'ahu shay' وكان عرشه على الماء وكان بيمينه الميزان يرفع ويخفض. The Prophet told us ﷺ, in the beginning of time, we don't have the ability to comprehend this. In the beginning of time, Allah was here and nothing else was here with Him. And He was over His throne, and His throne was over the water. We don't have the ability to comprehend that. I find it ajib that Muslims reject things that they don't understand simply because they don't understand it. And how much of al-Islam you don't understand? How much of al-Islam you don't understand? How much? About the qadr. I don't understand the qadr, so I don't believe in it. What are you talking about? How? That's not for us to ask how. Allah is not asked why. We're the ones who ask why you did and why you didn't do, and so forth and so on. So that hadith said, Allah was over the throne, His throne was over the water, nothing was here with Him, and in His hand was the scale, and the scale was going up and down. That's the Sahih Bukhari establishing that there is a scale. And there are other proofs, but time is flying, so we have to keep going. So one of the ways that Allah Azza wa Jal will make people accountable for what they did is He's going to have that scale. He's going to have the book. He's going to have the human beings themselves bearing witness. The earth is going to speak out and bear witness what you did. The angels are going to bear witness. The jinn are going to bear witness. A person's body is going to bear witness and talk against him. All of that in establishing against him the proof that he was a bad person, that he was a good person, or whatever the case is. Concerning this mizan, this scale, 3 things will be put in the mizan, in the scale, in the process of judging people. The first thing that's going to be put in the mizan, ikhwani, is the person himself. Every individual will be put on that scale. Everyone. And depending upon how you were and what you did in this life, it's going to determine what's going to happen in the mizan. It's going to determine. Prophet told us sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, إنه يؤتى يوم القيامة برجل عظيم سمين يودع في الميزان فلا يزن عند الله جناح بعوضة. A big, fat, powerful man will be brought Yawm al-Qiyamah. He will be put on the scale. He was big time in the dunya. He was big. He ate well. He was opulent in his lifestyle. He will be put in the scale. He won't equal with Allah the wing of a gnat. Not the gnat itself, the wing of the gnat. Because the scale is different Yawm al-Qiyamah. The PhD doesn't mean anything with Allah. Your tribe doesn't mean anything with Allah. Where you come from, Arab, not Arab, black, white, man, woman, doesn't mean anything with Allah. He's Sharif or a Sayyid, doesn't mean anything with Allah on that scale. Sayyid doesn't mean anything with Allah on that scale. Meaning if he was a Sayyid from Quraysh, but he didn't live up to the honor of being a Sayyid. He was just Muftakhir. I'm a Sayyid, I'm a Sayyid. Doesn't mean anything in the scale. Abu Lahab was a Sayyid. Abu Jahl was a Sayyid. In the scale, they'll be put in that scale, they won't equal the wing of a gnat. The Prophet told his companion, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, Ya ibn Mas'ud, get up and go over there to that tree and bring me a miswak stick. Climb the tree and bring me the miswak stick. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, one of the ulama of the companions, and he was an ulama from the ulama because of the Quran. He immediately got up and he went and he climbed the tree. One of us, the way the Muslims are today, the sunnah tells you to do something, the person says, it's just the sunnah, I don't have to do it. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud didn't say that. I can imagine the person today, it's just the sunnah, the Prophet says, hey, get up, go climb that tree, bring me that miswak. The person would say, Ya Rasulullah, what do you think, I'm a monkey or something? Why don't you tell one of them children to go? Why are you telling me to go? The companions weren't like that. Get up, he went. He climbed the tree. Some people walked by Abdullah ibn Mas'ud up the tree and they looked at his legs. And his shins were very skinny. He was a skinny man. Radiyallahu anhu. And they were laughing. The Prophet saw. They came. He said, what were you laughing at over there? They said, Ya Rasulullah, we were laughing at his skinny legs. His legs are skinny. The creation of Allah. What Allah chose from his hikmah. They were laughing at that. The qadr of Allah. They had a problem with that, an issue with that. Rasulullah swore and said, وَالَّذِي نَفْسِي بِيَدِهِ لَرِجْلُ عَبْدِ اللَّهِ بْنِ مَسْعُودٍ فِي الْمِيزَانِ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ أَثْقَلُ مِنْ جَبْلِ أُحُدٍ. I swear by the one who my soul is in his hands, Allah, one leg of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud in the scale is heavier than the mountain of Uhud. One leg. So he'll be put in the mizan. That's the dalil from the ayat, hadith. He'll be put in the mizan, and you'll be put in the mizan. So wallahi, ikhwani, wallahi, thumma billahi, thumma tallahi, the Muslim cannot look at this issue of being put in the mizan as being small. The beard of the Muslim is going to help him in the mizan. If you take it off, it's going to affect your weight. It's going to affect your weight. Those hairs on your wife's eyes, these eyebrows, plucking those few hairs in the mizan, it's going to affect the weight. It's going to affect the weight. Is that the biggest and most important issue in the world? No, it's not the biggest and most important issue. But trying to get heavy in the mizan is one of the most biggest and important issues in the world. The Prophet told the people, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, trying to save yourself from the hellfire, even if it's with half of a date. This is the date. You break it off and you give the brother half of it. In the mizan, you're going to see that Yawm al-Qiyamah. In the mizan. So the companion Anas ibn Malik, he said to the tabi'een, you people are doing deeds that are more insignificant to you people than the hair on the person's head. We, the companions during the time of the Prophet, we used to see these deeds as being the things that will destroy you. So even the issue of the hair with the companions, it was important. So the person will be put in the mizan. Secondly, from what will be put in the mizan is the actions and the deeds of the people will be put in the mizan. This dars is going to be in the mizan for me or against me. Depending upon my niyat, depending upon what I'm saying. If I'm trying to fight people from up here and put people down, that's going to be in the mizan against me. If I'm saying what's incorrect and it's not acceptable Islamically, against me. Your sitting there is in the mizan. And it's not tangible. Yawm al-Qiyamah, how can someone bring your sitting here and hold it and feel it and touch it and smell it or hear it? Ma qadarullaha haqqa qadri. They didn't consider Allah the way He ought to be considered. Some Muslims don't believe in the mizan. They say, why does Allah need a mizan? Allah knows everything. He doesn't need a mizan. It's allegorical. What are you talking about? There's a mizan. Why would the Prophet say that about Abdullah ibn Mas'ud? So all of our actions and all of our deeds will be in the mizan. Allah Ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, فَأَمَّا مَنْ ثَقُلَتْ مَوَازِينُهُ فَهُوَ فِي عِيشَةٍ رَاضِيَةٍ وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَفَّتْ مَوَازِينُهُ فَأُمُّهُ هَاوِيَةٌ وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا هِيَ نَارٌ حَامِيَةٌ. Yawm al-Qiyamah, anyone who comes and his mizan is heavy to this side is going to live a life that is happy, even if you got a lot of problems. And anyone who comes Yawm al-Qiyamah and his mizan is heavy, light on this side, heavy on the wrong side, then His mother is going to be the Hawiyah. And what would explain to you what is the Hawiyah? It is the burning hellfire. Thirdly and lastly, Ikhwani, from what will be in the Mizan in a way of giving people the hisab, where they go and where they belong, Jannah and the Nar, with the Salihin Muttaqeen, or with the evil people who will be with Fir'aun. And other than that, the third and final thing that will be in the Mizan are those books that Allah is writing or having being written against us will be placed in the Mizan. The books that the Malaika are writing. Allah Ta'ala mentioned in the Quran in Surah Al-Kahf, وَوُضِيَ الْكِتَابُ فَتَرَى الْمُجْرِمِينَ مُشْفِقِينَ مِمَّا فِيهِ وَيَقُولُونَ يَا وَيْلَتَنَا مَا لِهَذَا الْكِتَابِ لَا يُغَادِرُ صَغِيرَةً وَلَا كَبِيرَةً إِلَّا أَحْصَاهَا وَوَجَدُوا مَا عَمِلُوا حَاضِرًا وَلَا يَظْلِمُ رَبُّكَ أَحَدًا. And that day you will see the book will be placed in the Mizan. And when it is placed, you will see the criminals in a state of being petrified and terrified. And they will say, what kind of book is this? It hasn't left anything out. It didn't leave anything out that was big or small, except that it has been mentioned in the book. The statement when the mother says to the individual, hey, do this, do that, or don't do this and don't do that. And the person says, rolling your eyes at your mother. That's in the Mizan. And the people will come and they won't even know. They won't even remember. I did this, I did that, I did this, I did that. The person's going to say, whoa, what kind of book is this? It hasn't left anything out, big or small. So from the dua of the Prophet is that he used to, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, ask Allah to forgive him for what he remembers and what he forgot about. He taught us that dua for our own good. To make dua, oh Allah, forgive me for what I know I did. There are those things that I know I did. But there are those many things that I don't remember that I did. So that's a dalil, ikhwani, that the books will be weighed in the Mizan. In addition to that, the hadith of the Bataq of La ilaha illallah, that the slave will come Yawm al-Qiyamah and there will be 99 scrolls, 99 books will be placed in the Mizan in front of him. And they will make the scale go like that, 99 books for as far as his eyes can see. And then it will be said, do you have any good deeds? And man will say, I don't have any good deeds. Besides, if I did have any good deeds, what would they do in light of my situation? Look at the scales. 99 books. Allah Azza wa Jal will have the card pulled out, the card of La ilaha illallah. He's going to say, what is that La ilaha illallah going to do in light of all of this? Allah said, you won't be oppressed on this day. La ilaha illallah will be put on the other scale and it's going to outweigh it, because anyone who dies saying La ilaha illallah is going to benefit him. But which La ilaha illallah? Is it just La ilaha illallah but he goes to the magician? Is La ilaha illallah and he does black magic or white magic to get the black magic off? La ilaha illallah and he believes in soothsayers and horoscopes? La ilaha illallah he makes dua to Rasulullah? No, not that La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah along with its conditions that are against shirk and so forth and so on. So that Mizan, ikhwani, is part of the hisab that people have to deal with. They said that I have 5 minutes, although I started at 6:15. I started at 6:15, so I went less than my time. I'm going to wrap it up by saying there are a lot of things that we can do to make our Mizan heavy. 2 of them that I want to mention to you. At the top of the list, you want to make your Mizan heavy, then be a person of a tawheed. Don't make shirk with Allah. Don't believe in things like crossing your fingers. Don't believe in good luck. Don't believe in charms. Don't believe in the rabbit's foot. Don't believe in the horseshoe. Christmas time, the mistletoe. People believe if you stand under the mistletoe at the same time with another person from the opposite sex, you give them a kiss and you're going to have good luck for the rest of the year. Don't believe in that nonsense. Eating the chicken and breaking the wishbone and making a wish over the bone. You want a heavy Mizan? Stay away from all of that shirk and khurafat. That is in the Hindu culture. That slipped into our culture, a lot of it. The khatam and that kind of stuff. Stay away from that. It's not in our religion. If it was in our religion, you would be able to prove it in the Quran. I'm not against anyone. We have to be able to prove these things in our religion. You can't prove it in the Quran and the Sunnah The way that the companions understood the sources, we have to avoid it. Second thing, if you want your mizan heavy, then be a person who, to the best of your ability, you try to follow the sunnah. Try to follow what the Prophet said and what he did, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to the best of your ability, to the best of your ability. Because being on innovation and being an innovator will render your deeds null and void. Shirk will erase your deeds. If you do a deed with shirk, Allah will erase it, so it won't affect the mizan. And it'll be against you. Following other than the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam will erase your deeds. You have to be a person to the best of your ability to follow the Messenger of Allah. We can't do that unless we make efforts to learn what was his sunnah, what did he do, how did he marry, how did he get divorced, how did he dress, how did he undress, how did he go to the toilet, how did he make wudu, how did he make wudu, how did he make salah, how did he leave the salah, how did he conduct the Jum'ah prayer, how. We have to come to learn about these issues, and when he becomes loved to us like that, it will impact in the mizan, along with many other things. So we're going to bring this to a close, and we ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to cause this sitting to come Yawm al-Qiyamah, and it will be in the mizan of our hasanat, and those things that we made mistakes about, all of us, that Allah Azza wa Jalla gives us the maghfirah and His rahmah, and He does not put them in the mizan of evil, but because of our tawbah and asking for His forgiveness, we ask Him to put it in our mizan of good deeds. He's capable of that, and He is a'la and a'la.